Like, so your call time is 6 a.m. What time are you showing up?
If my call time is 6 a.m., like on the call sheet, I'm there at 5 a.m.
An hour early. I
An
tell
hour
people
early.
30 minutes, but I like this. Go ahead.
30 minutes, it's okay, but it maybe like after like the first week or so, let's say you get a movie that goes for 2 months. After the first week, if you're comfortable with, not being there and as early as as you started, maybe you found a groove, maybe you know what's going on, maybe you're more comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's okay, but like day one, and a lot of people hate me for it. Day one, I'm there an hour before call.
Yeah. But are
You
you getting
know,
paid for that?
not for that hour, no.
Let's talk about it.
It's something that you give up because the benefits of it outweigh,
Not being on time.
not being on time.
Right. And on time is not 6 a.m. if your call time is 6 a.m.
Correct. If you're on time, you're late. And that is a hard lesson to learn. Because if you show up at call time,
From Selma to Baby Driver, Greenleaf to Raising Dion, and X-Men, Jorge has served as utility, boom op, and sound mixer on award-winning sets. He's industry vetted and versatile, and I'm just so happy to have him here with me today. Welcome, Jorge.
happy to be here.
Yeah, man. So let's just go ahead and start from the beginning. Tell us where you're from and how you got started in the industry, and are you even from Georgia?
I am not from Georgia. I was born in Puerto Rico. When we were kids, we moved to the U.S. My dad got a job with the government. It wasn't until we moved to Tennessee that I realized that I sort of got like the bug about movie making. And there was a show on Discovery Channel called Movie Magic, and that's sort of like you got like the behind the scenes, and that's you got to know how movies got made, and that's sort of where like my interest peaked.
How old were you at that time?
I was 10 years old.
Wow. Yeah, that's
it was a long time ago. And then it just so happened that my high school had a video production class as part of their theater arts program. And then when we moved to Atlanta, the high school that I went to sort of had the same thing, but it was a little bit more beyond. And then from there, I went through all the stages of, I want to do special effects. Oh, I want to do CGI. Oh, I want to do miniatures. And oh, I want to do makeup, special effects makeup, and that kind of thing. And it wasn't till I realized that sound, early on is where I kind of like wanted to be. Although I did work for a lot of years as an editor. I worked at here locally at Channel 5 for 10 years before I got into the film industry. That's what I did right after high school and college.
So video editing.
Yeah, I was a video editor for a long time.
Wow.
It's kind of like, well, there aren't very many audio jobs, so I think I'm gonna just kind of keep where I'm like that's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
So I just kind of kept that up, and then in 2010, I had a buddy of mine who was a musician who did sort of like, it was a sound mixer like on the side. And then I showed interest, and then one day he said, "Hey, I need somebody for tomorrow. You got to be there at 6 a.m. And it was all downhill from there.
What did you have to do that day?
That was a double up day on Drop Dead Diva down in Peachtree City.
Dude, I remember when that was going here.
Yeah. And that was sort of my real, my real exposure into filmmaking, as far as like making it viable to make a living, to have a job and do it well, and carry a career.
So wait, at that point you quit working on the news editing?
Yeah. I peaked after 2 years at the TV station, and from all sides, it was just obvious that I was just not gonna get any further from where I was.
Oh, wow.
And I was there for almost 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so let me back up, because you got a very interesting upbringing. So
Sure.
You went to a high school that had a supportive film community or program.
Well, it was video production.
Okay.
Basically what it was. We had there was a control room, there was an editing suite, there was a stage, there were lights, there were cameras. You really did get a a decent education as far as the process.
Okay.
From, writing to designing to, all the technical aspects like camera positions, lighting.
That's awesome.
And back then, we didn't have nonlinear for a while, but it was all tape to tape editing. So
what year did you graduate high school?
1997.
Oh, so yeah, really? No. Gotcha. Well, that's so cool that like your program had that like in high school, because I got that experience in college. I grew up in South Carolina.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't even know what a sound mixer was until my sophomore year of school.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But so after working at the news, you got a call from a friend to go work on Drop Dead Divas.
Yeah.
But what was your background to make you qualified, and what was your position that you got hired on as?
I got hired on as a sound utility.
Okay.
Back then, I think maybe the incentive for the tax breaks or whatnot had been maybe about 2 years old, so it wasn't quite as busy as it was, a few years ago.
Okay.
And the membership, the union membership wasn't. It was, I think from what I understand, it was maybe a few hundred people. And there was starting to get to the point where there weren't enough members to cover. So we were like, yeah, come on in, bring them in.
I remember that, bro.
Yeah.
Like 2010 is the time I'm graduating college.
Okay.
So that's when I met a sound mixer who, his name is Dana. Do you know Dana? Dana Simmons?
Dana Simmons, yeah.
He was the sound mixer that came, he went to the Art Institute with me.
Okay.
And I was a sophomore, he was a senior. And he came to school one day and he had a bag, and I had never seen all this gear before. Because at my college, they had like an FP33.
Okay.
And like I went to school in 2006. So like the sound devices, 788s and all that stuff was really popular then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in school for video, but I didn't have a teacher that understood how to use the FP33.
Okay.
So I didn't know how to use it. So when Dana came to the school, I was just like, man, what is all this gear? He had like a 688. No, I think he had like a 788 and Electrosonics wires. And it just blew my mind because I had never seen that type of gear before. But it was a time where Dana would come to class and get an A because he was out in the field working.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute now, what's happening here? So that changed my whole trajectory in college. I started to reach out to mixers, like 10, 20, 30 people. I just started going through the call sheet. And I was like, man, there's work here. Something's happening. Like, how's this guy getting... First of all, I'm a broke college student. How can he afford all this gear? That was the first thought, right? But yeah, I remember that time when the union was literally asking people to move to Georgia. Now we want people to leave Georgia.
Well, there's just,
joking.
the state of the industry right now in Georgia is not sustainable for the membership and the available crew. It's, it's very, 5 years ago it was feast, now it's famine. You know what I mean? That's how it's evolved, and that's how, it's the roller coaster as far as
cyclical.
Like, it's very cyclical. So hopefully we're all praying it gets better.
Yeah.
But that's just, the way it goes. And then, as far as like, having the appropriate gear, you really shouldn't worry about having all the gear that's possible, because you will always know somebody else who has it. And that's how you sort of build a network. You go, hey man, I need 7 earwigs. Can you have them here tomorrow? Yeah, no problem. Whatever, however that works. But I think the big thing that I sort of missed out on was the fact that to get started in the film industry, you have to be able to network with whoever it is you're available, because you're always going to meet new people.
Right.
And just, you kind of like, you have to stay in touch, which is something I'm terrible at. But yeah, that's, when I got called to like do that day on Drop Dead Diva, I had already shown interest.
How?
And then
let's talk about that. How did you show interest?
Well, I didn't know he, it was a musician friend of mine. We were at a bar and he was going to go up and do his little music thing. And then before he got up, we got to talking about film gear. And he was like, yeah, I've got, I'm down at whatever it's called in Falcon Field. That's what the Drop Dead Diva stages were, at the Falcon Field landing strip, the airport down in Peachtree City.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, I got a Nagra. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I remember studying Nagras in college, in school. And he was like, no, I'm being a sound mixer. It's like, dude, you got to get me in. You got, if you ever need anybody, please give me a call. And that's just exactly how it worked out.
Nice.
It was like something like 7 p.m. on a Monday. He says, I need you down in Peachtree City at 6 a.m. on Tuesday.
Wow. So did you currently have a job?
I was freelancing because I was doing sound for these little local artists for like, their little gigs and bars
So you were
and
already
whatnot.
doing sound at
I was
some,
already
at some
doing sound.
capacity.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, because I started so young, it started to click in my head, sort of like signal flow, as far as like, the whatever it is that you need to I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to say this, like the technical aspect. I was already well versed because I had started so young, and then I was an editor after that.
That's so good.
And then I'd already I had been doing, I was like, maybe for like a couple of months I had been doing sound for these little local artists.
Doing sound, how so?
At bars.
Oh, like going to do live sound, like
Live
mixing.
sound.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
okay.
Yes, front of house sound is what I'm
Gotcha.
saying. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And he was like, dude, you gotta, I need more work, and I definitely want to be involved in the film industry. By then, at the TV station, we had already started covering the tax incentive and the local crews coming in, and the Hollywood coming to Atlanta and that kind of thing.
What a time.
Yeah.
What a time that was.
Yeah.
So your first job, Drop Dead Diva, you were day playing.
That was my first real job. And I say real because it was only for that one day.
What made it real?
Because they paid on time.
Right.
I didn't have to chase them around looking to get paid. But it led to, I was doing another day the following week. And then, the way it worked out on my very first day was that the sound mixer that called me took the main unit's utility to the second unit, and I got stuck, or I got to stay with the main unit mixer. Sorry.
Wow.
Ira, I touched my mic. My bad.
See, but I want this in because Ira and people, we are sound sensitive. I mean, you're watching sound podcast, so.
Sorry. Yeah. I stayed with the first unit sound mixer.
Yeah.
They recognized that I had real interest and a great attitude for doing this work.
Yeah.
So they called me the following week when another double up day came up.
Domino
and then after that show was over, there were more double up days for other shows around town, like Vampire Diaries, Walking Dead were already going at that time. And then July of that year, he got a movie, a 25-day movie. And then,
Best.
That's how that career started.
So let me ask you this.
Absolutely.
I got evicted to join the union.
Okay.
I sacrificed everything. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when I saw Dana, he came to school, I started reaching out to mixers. The one mixer that reached out to me was Whit Norris.
Okay.
He was like, all right, Sherry, you've been bugging me for months. I'll let you take me out to coffee. So I took him out to coffee, and he was like, I can't help you right now, but I got a buddy that just moved in from LA. He's working on some stuff. I won't mention his name, but I'll have you go with him. And I went and I shadowed him for 30 days. The movie was called Plus One.
I vaguely remember Plus One, yeah.
Yeah. And so I just gave it away right there because I said his name, the movie, but it's okay. So I started working with Bud Raymond.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I did 30 days, and he was nice enough to let me shadow for 30 days for free. And I was so elated. That was my first time being on a real set.
Yeah.
It was like crafty, camera, lighting, everybody was there. And I did 30 days, and I remember seeing Cujo as a utility, and Cujo was a utility.
Yeah.
And he had he had a sound bag, and he had a list, and he kept like referring to a list. He had his little bag with his tools in it, and he was just off doing everything. And I was just like, okay. Followed him for 30 days. The movie wrapped. Bud reached out to me 2 months later and was like, all right, I got a tier 1 movie. Did you join the union yet? And I was like, no. He said, it costs $800. I have 2 days to fill in. You know what I mean? You need to get the crew list filled in. So you need to join the union and let me know what you're going to do. I'd love to have you. So I got evicted, man, because I saw a future. So my rent was like $400, and I called my family and I was like, y'all would never believe the sound mixer called me back. Only problem is I need $400. And they're like, are you being held ransom or something? Like, what's going on? So they're like, because we don't send you money, so don't even do that. But they did. They sent me some money, but it was just not enough for me to pay my rent and to join the union. So
Right.
I decided to take the L. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. Quick break. If you want the uncut audience questions, BTS breakdowns, and my personal checklist and templates, join the Sound Mixer School community. It's $10 a month, cancel anytime, and you get a live 10 to 15 minute after show Q&A where you get to help shape the next episode. Scan the QR code or hit the link in the description. Now let's get back to the show. When opportunity knocks, you need to understand and be able to, answer that calling when it comes. I could have stayed working, at a church or being a server thinking that, I don't want to risk my apartment. You know what I mean? But I took that job and my first check paid my rent like 10 times over.
Yeah.
Because we had like a 2-month run.
Yeah.
And my day rate was like $400 a day. So I was like, oh, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What about you? How much did it cost when you joined the union and what was your first...
I've got a great story about joining the union because I kept being told, hey, it's only $350 to join. It's only $350 to join. I was like, okay, all right. And it's like, you got to pull the trigger because we got this job coming up. By that time, because I wasn't in the union yet, so I didn't know what was actually going on, they had raised the price to join to $900. So I kept going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What happened?
Dang.
So I was in a similar situation where I had to borrow money just so I could join, just so I could do the movie.
But it was worth it.
It was absolutely worth it. I built a career from there.
I mean, I sacrificed.
And that was in 2010. Yeah.
Same for me. 2011 for me. So I was right behind you. And I remember when I first got into the industry, I would see you. You were always so focused. So that's cool. So if somebody's listening now and they want to know what is the prerequisite to be a utility, what do you think what would you tell them?
You just have to be, I hear people answer this question in different ways. To be a sound utility, you have to have the mentality that you're there to facilitate what is necessary. You have to have that attitude to where if you're not wiring talent, you're taking care of something that's making noise. If you're not taking care of that, you're coordinating with your assistant director for what's coming next. You have to have that mentality that you have to stay ahead of the game because that's what's necessary.
Right.
Because if you fall behind, then you've got negative attention on you. Right. You know what I mean? And if there's negative attention on you, there's negative attention on the sound department as a whole.
Exactly.
You have to be that, hey, not like whether it's cheery all day or not, but you have to have like, where can I be helpful? Where can I be useful?
Right.
Kind of attitude.
Yeah. What was your first day rate? Do you remember?
I don't remember the whole day rate, but I think the hourly rate was somewhere like in the $24 an hour rate.
That was amazing, right?
For them, yeah, absolutely. Because I was, freelancing, helping out friends, and they were paying me like $50-$60 for the night or whatever. And then, I hear, and I didn't think to even ask until the day was over. I was like, so how much am I getting paid? I was like, so am I going to get paid? Am I like, I was like afraid to ask, but I was like, how is it? Oh, you have to do your star work. And then when I look at the star work, they go, it goes $24 an hour. I was like, what out here?
I know, right?
This is what I'm getting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, this is very not bad right now. This is very not bad. And then, the feature that I did that summer wasn't as good, but it was still okay.
Okay.
And then the second feature after that was even more money than like the first day. You know what I mean? Like it does fluctuate, but I want to say that it does get better.
I know, right?
It does get better.
And eventually you made 6 figures.
Eventually. I mean, that took some effort because, sometimes, like I said, it's always feast or famine. It's that cycle of whether it comes and goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually I was like, all right, I'm going to work every day this year. It didn't work out that way, but I was like, I'm going to keep working until,
It can't.
I'm going to keep hustling. You know what I mean?
So what is it that you would tell people they need to be aware of 14, at 7, at 30, and you need to know how to like live below your means in a sense because you never really know when the money's coming in. Like, how do you budget?
It was definitely a lifestyle shift because yes, it's great. Like the money is great when you're working, but you can't think about the money that you're getting when you're working. You have to think about the money that you have to spend when you're not working.
Right.
Because you have to go, oh, I'm not working, so I'm bleeding money rather than making money.
Right.
That's why it's sort of it. And it was also a bit of a rough swing when I had to go, had to get over myself so I can go apply for unemployment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people look
That
down
happens.
who's on unemployment, but that's just a way of life in the film industry. Like when you're not working, you're bleeding money. So
I didn't even know that was a thing that you could do that.
Yeah. I was like, really? I don't want to file for unemployment. When's our next job coming? I had to keep asking, can I live for like, a month without, no, you can't. You have to like change your lifestyle because the film industry is not, by no definition, isn't a 9-to-5 job. It's, sometimes you're working, sometimes you're not.
Right.
And our union, and a lot of people go by this, is that they say, hey, have enough savings where you can live for 6 months without having to work, without work.
Well, how did you start off like that? If you were going from making $50 a day to...
I had to keep working. I had to like meet other mixers. Hey, double up, life is rough when you're working 5 different shows in a week.
Wow.
Day playing, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
So you didn't prefer the day playing. Some people prefer the day playing because they like, having a life.
There's some sound mixers out there who don't take long-term work. They're either commercial mixers or they're just strictly second unit or double up day mixers. So they only work 2-3 days a week.
Yeah.
Those are the guys you get in tight with because they'll work, 2-3 days a week.
Hey.
For, the entire year. And that's how they make a living. And then as a utility, when you get to know them, give me a call. I'm always available.
Let's talk about that for a second.
But I quickly was, no, I want a 3-month job. No, I want a 25-day movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to do 5 different shows in a week.
I hear you.
I want a little bit of consistency. Yeah.
I hear you. When I started, I was a utility for 7 years. So I was like you. I wanted those long-term jobs. And then I realized, and from my opinion, I was just like, man, everybody's out of shape, angry. They're like, I don't want to be here, 7 days, Fridays, it was tough. And for me, not having proper training to be a utility, it was rough for me when I first got on board because coming out of college, I didn't know what to do. Like there was no launch pad in between college and the union to teach you what it would take for a Whit Norris to hire you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because utility is not an entry-level position.
No.
You have to intern first before you get there.
The utility position is not... You're not like the sound PA by no definition. Like there are a lot of responsibilities on the sound utility.
Yeah.
You have to be motivated for the department to do well. Like you have to, that mentality of, everything has to happen before they call action.
Yes.
And you stay on your feet all day. It's not an easy job by any definition. If you're not pushing carts, you're running cable. If you're not wiring talent, you're shutting off the AC or whatever it is that's making noise. Like you always have to have that mentality to where you always have to be on.
So let's talk about etiquette. Mm-hmm. What would you say? So your call time is 6 a.m. What time are you showing up?
If my call time is 6 a.m., like on the call sheet, I'm there at 5 a.m.
An hour early. I tell people 30 minutes, but I like this. Go ahead.
30 minutes, it's okay, but it may be like after like the first week or so. Let's say you get a movie that goes for 2 months. After the first week, if you're comfortable with, not being there and as early as you started, maybe you found a groove. Maybe you know what's going on. Maybe you're more comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's okay. But like day one, and a lot of people hate me for it. Day one, I'm there an hour before call.
Yeah. But are you
know,
getting paid for that?
Not for that hour, no.
Let's talk about it.
It's something that you give up because the benefits of it outweigh,
Not being on time.
not being on time.
Right. And on time is not 6 a.m. if your call time is 6 a.m.
Correct. If you're on time, you're late. And that is a hard lesson to learn. Because if you show up at call time, you're already 30 minutes behind. You're already 30 minutes behind because by then, the crew is all going. Everybody's setting up,
Interesting.
That was a really hard lesson I learned in the worst way possible. But, you get there and it's not like you get in there and you're immediately going to work.
Right.
You get there, you go to catering, you say hellos, you say good mornings, you that's the way you make your day chill. You know what I mean? You stay kind of ahead. And, hey, do you have a call sheet? Did it change overnight? Are there anything that we need to look out for? Yeah, and you're having these conversations while you're eating.
Right.
You're chilled out, you're whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, we'll go to the truck and then,
So what are you doing in that hour? You go to breakfast because first of all, we got to eat, right?
Right.
You wanted me to be a good sound department person, let me eat.
Right.
So you eat, you get a lay of the land. What else are you doing?
That's pretty much it. Like if there's anything that you need to know, somebody will come tell you, whether it's the sound mixer or the PAs or the ADs saying, hey, your trucks were supposed to be here, but the trucks moved around the corner because we were seeing down the street. Maybe you can get a steak, but I don't know. But your truck is not where we told you it was going to be yesterday. Yeah. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Those are the kind of details that you kind of get first thing in the morning. Or, it could be anything. Like it could be like, hey, our number one on the call sheet is running a half hour late. So we're going to, we're going to push a little bit, and then we'll get set up, and then just wait. But, being early and not being paid for that you can't look at it that way. I just don't see it that way anymore.
People are like, what am I getting paid? When am I getting paid? How much money am I getting paid? If you think like that, I don't really want to be around you because it's not about that.
You can't see it that way. Like you can't, like I just don't think that my mind doesn't work like that anymore. Like, showing up an hour early and not getting paid for that hour is, it's BS or it's the benefits of being there ahead of time. It outweighs the benefits of being paid for that time.
That's right. We get paid well.
And then, you always make up for it on the back end. You know what I mean? Like when you're wrapping out or at wrap, you might pad a little bit. 2-3 ticks, you always make up for it. You always make up for it.
Yeah, you do.
It's not that serious that you don't get paid for that hour. And sometimes you can, arrange for a pre-call so you can get paid for that little bit of time.
That's right. Let's to those that don't understand ticks, let's talk about that.
Ticks are
just the time.
It's every 10th of an hour, which is every 6 minutes, is how a movie is measured as far as time you get paid for.
Yikes.
And it's 1/10 of a minute. I mean, 1/10 of an hour. Excuse me. 1/10 of an hour is 6 minutes. And you always add 2-3 ticks at the end of the call sheet. At the end of the day at wrap.
That's right. Sorry to the producers in the room.
Well, no, because you never know if like there's gonna be vans running or if you're gonna make it to your car. It's
get there early to make their job better.
Now, if you add an hour at the end of your, you're definitely gonna get a call.
You're gonna get a call.
But 2-3 ticks is not that big of a deal.
I agree. So okay, so you got there at 5 and your call is at 6, and so now 6:30. 6 o'clock sound mixers coming in, 5:45 sound mixers coming in, 5:45 boom ops coming in. Yeah. What are you doing? What's on your list of things?
At that point, either the sound mixer is giving us information as far as how what's necessary for the day, if he hasn't done already. And by that point, the gear I've already pushed the gear to set.
Let's talk about
finding a spot to live, finding a spot to live, running power. Mm-hmm. And then the sound mixer can come in and go, okay, let me sit down, let me figure this out. Okay. And then go coordinate with the boom operator. Mm-hmm. And then, rehearsals and whatnot start at that point.
I like to tell people, sometimes, get to work 30 minutes early, set me up near Video Village, make sure I have power. Mm-hmm. Let's make sure the batteries are changed in all the transmitters, time code, slates, etc.
By the way, you guys don't know time code. Time code 10 years ago was a bigger pain in the ass than it is now.
Really? Why you say?
Because the sync boxes available were huge bricks that camera people hated writing on the cameras.
You're right. The Denicky boxes.
The Denicky,
I have one.
Yeah, the Denicky boxes. It took a long time for that to be what it is today.
Right. Now it's wireless.
It's all wireless. You just turn it on and go.
Yeah.
And then it's.
Yeah.
It was
your list of things to do changes.
Yes.
But it's still relative, right?
Yeah.
Because you're still trying to plug into, well, for me, I do commercials. So we can talk about that because my workflow is a bit different from your workflow as a 3-man team. I have a 2-man team. So I don't get a utility all the time. So my boom up has to kind of be a utility and a boom up. So I end up bringing on an intern or somebody that I'm training to come in and be the third that day, and I'll pay them and they learn. But what I tell them to do is, get there 30 minutes early, make sure they set me up by VTR, make sure I have power. Glenn helped me out. Make sure we get set up for time code. Make sure that we have all the wireless prepared. Context, definitely management. So let's just give people some tips on that basic stuff. Time code, getting ready for the actors, Comtech management. Let's just talk about that.
Okay, so that aspect can be fluid from mixer to mixer. So if you're utility who's working with mixer A, mixer B is probably not going to do it the same way as mixer A. If you're going to day play between a ton of mixers, which I feel like you should.
Why?
A is not going to do it the same as B.
Right.
And vice versa. But the big points are being in the right spot, having power, running your video line, running your antennas once you know where they can live.
Right.
And then coordinating with the ADs as far as who needs to be wired. And then identifying the problems, like the noise problems on set. And then making sure that if there's anything else, that needs to be taken care of before you distribute other gear.
Right.
Because after you're set up, ready to go, then you go, okay, what's the time code? How many cameras do we have? How many sync boxes do we need? How many slates do we need? And then who do we have on set? How many producers for Comtex? That kind of thing.
Right.
And that's sort of like the way I like to do it as a utility. I don't, my first thing in the morning is not who needs to be wired. My first thing is in the morning isn't, time code. Let's jump on that right away. It's let's get us situated and then we'll distribute the gear that needs to go out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You take care of you first so you can take care of everybody else.
That's right.
Sorry, Ira, I did it again.
So what does a utility wear to work?
Be practical. There is no uniform, but be practical. Either wear a pouch that has a lot of pockets for you to carry stuff in, or wear cargo pants that have a lot of pockets for you to carry stuff in, which is my go-to.
Yeah. I
tried the pouch thing at first, and I didn't like it because I would always knock things over.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So I tried to be a little bit slimmer.
Okay.
Excuse me.
What about
and
colors?
Then usually always... I'll do that again. Usually always wear darker colors. You can, the traditional thing is to always wear black. I kind of keep going back and forth because the thing with wearing black is that if there's a reflection on set somewhere, it's less likely that you'll be in it because you're wearing dark clothing. Right. That's kind of like the idea behind it.
It's always safe.
It's always safe. Yeah. Exactly. It's always safe. But cotton is your enemy, especially in the summer.
Right.
Do not wear, do whatever you want, but I'm going to start with this. Cotton underwear is your enemy in this humidity.
It's good to know.
In the summer, you will be miserable by lunchtime.
Yeah.
And then, lightweight clothes is always going to be helpful.
Yes.
Because it'll jeans are the worst.
Right.
Jeans on set when you're trying to run back and forth are the worst.
Right.
Cotton t-shirts are not great.
So we need pockets. So
you need pockets.
Yeah.
You need. I mean,
Pouches and
if you
bags.
wanted to wear a vest and carry things in your vest, so you can take the vest off. Whenever you're not like when you break for lunch, everything's on your vest. You take it off and you feel lighter.
Yeah.
Great.
So what are you carrying around?
I'm carrying around. Do you want me to pull the stuff out and show?
We will in the next room.
Okay, all right.
Just talk about
I'm carrying around tape. I'm carrying around scissors. I'm carrying around a tweaker. I'm carrying around pieces of materials for wires in case, I need to jump in really fast and change something. A multi-tool for sure.
Got to have that.
I've got obviously headphones, and then, excuse me, I'm blanking. Extra batteries. That's kind of a big one.
Yeah.
You need to have spare batteries on you, just in case something dies suddenly for an inexplicable reason. First thing you do is you swap the batteries, and then you get back up and going.
So, if somebody was trying to get into the industry now, and they want to know what are the top 3 to 5 things that makes a sound mixer continue to call you, that they should know.
Just a great attitude. You have to be positive because it is hard work and it is a miserable time. If you slide into that extreme, that's what it's always going to be. So a mixer doesn't want that. A mixer wants somebody that wants to be there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they're not always easy to deal with either.
No. Some mixers came from way back in the old school.
Right.
That are still around.
Yes.
And you think it's difficult now. Wait till you have to run 200 feet of cable because
they don't believe in wireless.
They don't believe in wireless. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know about it.
Yeah.
They may think I'm a little tough to deal with now, but you have no idea what I went through with the old school Hollywood.
No mixer today, especially no younger mixer today, knows what it was like back then. It was hard work.
Exactly. So, okay. So you want to be on time. You want to be easy to work with. Let's talk about hygiene.
Hygiene.
You're working with actors.
Okay, so yes, because you work in close proximity with actors, you want to have hand sanitizer is a big one.
Yeah.
Maybe breath mints or minty gum is always good. Definitely keep some kind of like deodorant or body spray. That always is helpful.
Yeah.
Because no matter how hygienic you are in the mornings before you come to work, you're going to sweat that stuff right out.
Right.
Especially in the hot summer.
Yeah.
It's just going to go away. And they don't want to, a lot of actors don't want to be around somebody that doesn't smell good.
Right.
But keep your hands clean because you have to touch their clothes, and you're not, at that point, you're not really considering just the actors. You're considering costumes as well, because if you touch the costume with dirty hands,
right,
they're gonna know.
Yes, that's true.
That's the kind of like the thing where, and that's the thing with dealing with sound and having to accomplish thing is that you're never dealing with just one department. It's always a combination of several,
right,
if not all of them at once. You know what I mean?
Knowing how to negotiate with different departments.
Correct.
That's a whole thing in itself, right? Man, so what would you say the top 5 things a person should need to know before they even consider getting to be in a utility? I would say cable wrapping.
Cable wrapping is a big one, fellas. Folks. I mean, you can't. If all right, here's the across the board. If a sound mixer sees you pick up a cable as a bunch like this, like off the ground, you're not coming back the next day. You pick up the end and you start coiling back and forth. You know what I mean? It's got to be, and it's not because it's neat. It's because if you ever have to pick up that cable again and put it back out, and you can't. You can't spend your time untangling it.
That's
you have to be able to like pick up one end and just throw it, and it just
Yeah.
That's an efficiency question, because you have to be able to pick it up quickly and then lay it back out quickly.
That's right.
Spending your day untangling cables is.
Who wants to do that?
Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to see anybody else do that.
So cable wrapping is like imperative.
Yes.
What's next?
I would say
knowing how to wire?
Well, wiring kind of like, when I first started, they didn't let me wire right away because they were like, this is, we're dealing with actors, so maybe we don't put somebody who doesn't know what they're doing with an actor right away.
Great point.
But, just being organized, know where your batteries are, know where your transmitters are, know where your wires are, know where the microphones are,
That's super important.
just being, because what the mentality is that you have to be as efficient as possible. So you have to know where everything is all at once.
Right.
So if anything is being called, you have to like snatch it up and then run with it.
That's right.
You have to be.
And your sound mixer expects you to be organized.
100%.
Like if I ask my utility where my microphones are and he doesn't know, I'm sorry, I might not hire you again.
Well,
I might not.
You have to know where I don't know how else to say it. You have to know where everything is, because you can't go, hang on, I'm looking for it.
I hate that.
No, you have to go, here it is, and I'm taking off before I even tell you that I've already got it.
But what if you don't know?
If you don't know, you just ask.
Yeah.
Where is it? It's there. Get it. Done. You know what I mean?
You just figure it out.
If especially if you're dealing with a brand new person, here's the things. But you cannot show up as a green utility and just pull everything out of the drawers just because you said you need to know where everything is.
Let's also talk about green, because some people want you to hold their hand. If I give you an address, this is the address. If I tell you to do this, like I'm not going to, as a mixer, I know I don't always have the most patience, and I should, and I'm trying to, but I'm not going to hold your hand and tell you how to do that, because you're a liability to me at that point.
Yeah,
like I need you to come knowing something.
That's why having the right attitude, even if you have no experience, having the right attitude comes in handy. Like it'll save you every time.
Yeah.
Because you have to, for the most part, any production will give you all the information you'll ever need to know, as far as like where to go, what to do, like what you're working on, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
In broad terms. But, if you're calling because, if you're going, well, this looks like the address, but I don't know. If you're unsure, if you let your sound mixer know that you are unsure of what you're doing, you're not inspiring any kind of confidence.
No, I really don't like that. And I'm aware of that now as I work with other people. Even when I work with producers, I like to make them think I'm confident. I have it all under control.
Yeah.
Even if I don't, I'll never let them see me sweat.
Right.
Like I'll deal with that behind the scenes.
Correct.
If they hired me because they know that I'm going to make them feel better about sound.
Right.
If I hire you to be my utility, make me feel better about you being my utility.
Yes.
Like I don't want to hold your hand.
Like it's 100% understandable that sound mixer A does everything differently than sound mixer B. So if you go from A to B, B should understand the fact that you don't know everything of their particular package, but you know the broad strokes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
what are the broad strokes that get you hired? So we talked about, you said wiring is not a prerequisite. In my opinion, I think you should at least know the concept of wiring, but what would you say?
Well, you should be aware of it, but there are 1,000,001 different techniques for wiring, and to make, not only for wiring, but to make it 100% clear every time, and every show I learn something new because I work with different people.
And they teach you different things.
And they teach you different things,
And it makes you a better utility.
You like how my commercials sound? Of course you do. You should learn from the pros at Sound Mixers. Sign up today.
Join our 5-day challenge where we'll teach you how to get pro-level sound on set, learn the gear, the workflow, and the tricks of the trade straight from certified pros. Click below to sign up today. So if you had to tell a student right now, they want to know, how can I get a job as a utility? What would you tell them?
Grab that BNC cable. Is it 200 feet? Run it out straight, and let me time you to, how long it'll take you to coil that thing
I
up.
love that.
If you can do that, I mean, there is no time requirement. That's a lie. But if I can watch you do it, and you're not and struggling with it, then fine. I'll consider, giving you a call on a light day, maybe. But if you, I swear, everybody write this down. If you pick up a cable and you start going like this, don't ever, people are not going to call you whatsoever.
So I'm a student in college, hypothetically speaking. Nobody's taught me how to wrap cable. Nobody's taught me how to have set etiquette. Nobody's taught me how to wire an actor, but I want a job. So what am I supposed to do?
You have to, it's a lot easier nowadays because everything's on social media. Like you have to reach out to the people who are doing it. And unfortunately, if you're not experienced, you're just going to have to be patient, hey, I've got the right attitude. I don't have any experience. Please show me.
Yeah.
And then, there are a million events, throughout the year to where you can meet people, start networking. Networking is a big one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Networking is you have to get to know the people that do what you want to do.
That's right. And anything in life.
Anything in life.
Yeah.
Anything in life.
So, what would someone expect to make as a utility nowadays? What's a good rate for you, even at your caliber? Like, I'll never do a job at, from 25 to $1 million. You tell me.
Off the record, I have not turned down a job yet, and there have been some very low paying ones.
Okay, that's all right. It's all good.
But
what should they expect? What's fair? 25 an hour?
25 to 30.
Okay.
And to be honest, that's as far as like what utilities on real projects make, that's a little on the low side.
Okay.
But you need to start from the bottom.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you got to start from the bottom.
Right.
Sometimes
the bottom is free.
Sometimes the bottom is, hey, I need somebody to come give me a hand, and we'll give you a sandwich.
That's hilarious.
There's a Coca-Cola somewhere.
Yeah, that's funny. So if the bottom is 25, if the bottom is 25, then what is the top?
As a utility, the most I've made an hour is 65.
That's awesome.
Which is, if you can do that for a week, you've paid all your bills for the rest of the month.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And a little vacation.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Cool. All right. So we have some questions from students that want to know a little bit more about you. Is there anything else you want to mention? That, you're going to go through some wiring techniques to show us what you do. What else do you think? We're going to go through some cable wrapping. What else do you want to show some students today?
Other than the physical demonstration, I think I'm okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Glenn, so what are the questions that some students have?
Marcus, can I ask you a question? Yeah, I can. So, what's one thing you could tell to your past self to better navigate through your career?
Go to business school. Like, if I were to give any film student advice as far as like going to school, is go to business school. Learn business.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, as much as filmmaking is an art form, it is a business. These people are making multi-million-dollar deals. And you need to understand how that works as far as like your craft. Learn business.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Who's next?
I'm the next, but I believe you already answered my question, because my question is about like what type of gear you usually bring with when you're working on set.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you just need things that you can, it's other than like materials, and I mean like tapes or expendables, you need like tools, a multi-tool. I also carry a pocket knife. I've got a tweaker, which is, for dialing in settings on a transmitter, and scissors for cutting tape, or cutting moleskin, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Aaron Dollar, you're next.
My question was like, what are some of the biggest challenges?
Make sure you look at your camera when you answer. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
One more time, ask the question.
What are some of the biggest challenges you face as a sound utility?
That a lot of higher ups think that the sound utility is somebody that they can step on. I have there's a degree of how much I'm willing to stand, but I'm not willing to be stepped on or talked down to. Like, my position is a demeaning one.
Because it's such an important position.
It's such an important. You are the sound department administrator. You have to make things happen so the sound mixer and the boom operators can do their job, and that. That's not getting coffee at any point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not, I'm nobody's assistant.
Right. Right. Man, I think I struggle with that too as a sound utility.
Yeah.
That's why I started doing bag jobs and went off to doing commercials.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm good on this. Like, I'm a woman, and I'm a Black woman. I'm gay. And when I got into the industry, I had a sound mixer literally tell me that I was too gay for his department, and that I made Black women feel uncomfortable when I wired them. Now, he was 70 something at that time, older white guy with glasses and gonna tell me that I made the women feel uncomfortable. So I said, you know what, I went to HR on him.
Okay, good. Good
Yeah,
for you.
yeah,
Good for
yeah,
you.
he-
But
he's a-
in Atlanta, no.
Yeah, he's
In Atlanta, no.
come on. Like, yeah, I was really popular as a utility in Atlanta. Just because being a woman as a utility is an advantage. I would
I
say.
feel like it is. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So for the girls in the room, let's talk about why.
Some women are not, and I don't know if I should be talking about gender in this manner, but some women are not comfortable with men
Some. Yeah.
asking them to put things under their clothes.
So how do you deal with that?
I just hand it off either to the costume or if they have an assistant, or somebody that's, especially with minors, if there's a parent nearby, you just ask them, could you do this for me? You just hand it off. You don't force anything whatsoever. You just go, hey, would you like it if it's okay if your costume person does it?
Yeah.
You have to be diplomatic in that fashion.
Absolutely. I always have a wardrobe representative with me.
Yeah.
And especially when you're dealing with children. As a man,
Yeah.
I mean, I would always ask somebody to be watching when
It's difficult to break in already.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they say, no, we want a specific gender,
Yeah,
whether
tough.
one way or the other, if they want a specific gender, that's one other thing that says, no, you can't do it. And that's tough to hear.
What about the women that don't wear bras and stuff like that? It's so uncomfortable for people to try.
I can understand
Yeah.
not wanting to wear a bra. Because again, the Georgia heat sucks and it makes life miserable.
I didn't think you were going to go there, but that's so funny.
But you just, again, if they're not comfortable with you doing it yourself, you just hand it off to their costume
Tell
person.
them what to do too. You can say, hey,
Or if you want to just hand it off to them so they can do it themselves, that's fine.
yeah. Daryl had a question, our professor from the Art Institute. What's up, Daryl?
Hey, so the 10-year editing job, did you have to have a portfolio to get that job, and have you had to have a portfolio to get any jobs since then?
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I feel like it's already the sign of a inexperienced person if they ask for a reel. 20 years ago, reels were like the thing. Like that's how you showed your work off. But having a reel now, or having somebody ask you for a reel, is a sign of somebody who's inexperienced. Only because your work is everywhere. With streaming services, IMDb, your work is shown everywhere.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They can just, that's why like in my emails, I'm tagged with my IMDb link.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
speaks
Just
volumes.
go see it. I'm not going to send you a link to a video that I had to upload because I don't do that anymore. But when I did my editing job, there was a tape I had and I had to make copies of it and I had to send it to people,
Yeah.
Here's what I've done. This is the kind of editing I do,
So nowadays, it's like I went to college and I paid $100,000 for my degree, and not one person has ever asked me to see it.
That's what happens.
That's
Those are the people that go, okay, you send them your resume on a piece. All right.
I sent it to Whit. He looked at it and laughed.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Because people don't hire you for your degree; they hire you for the skills that you actually have.
But they need to experience you showing those skills.
They need
and
to see your
that's
passion.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. They need to see that you care about their project.
Mhm.
And they're not going to go cold off the street and go, hey, take care of this $200 million movie for me. It doesn't work that way.
So, would you say a degree is necessary to be a utility?
Again, I feel like the only real degree necessary in the film business is a business degree.
Great.
If you hear, people tell their stories of how they got in the business, rarely you'll hear anybody say, I went to film school, unless they're a producer. You go to film school to be a producer, you get a job as a grip or as a sound person or as a camera person.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a set of skills that you need to develop, but that comes along with working, not with studying.
That part.
You don't need to be, you are not going to learn how to make movies in a classroom.
At all.
You're going to learn how they were made, because somebody told you, but you're not going to get, it's definitely a hands-on experience.
So let me ask you this. What if right now you and I can create a hands-on experience where we say, you can go to college if you want, But before you go to college and join the union, we got this special program where we're going to teach you what it really is like to be on set and teach you the skills, teach you how to wrap cable, teach you how to wire, teach you how to boom. So when you go in front of a Whit Norris or a mixer of that ilk, they would say, you know what? You got some skills here.
They have to see you perform. They have to see the fact that, especially if you make a mistake, they have to see that you're willing to learn the lesson. Like oh, that's not the right way.
Right.
This is the right way because you showed me.
Yeah.
And then, if there are classes or communities that you can, join to learn, to network, this generation of filmmakers doesn't really need you. But you're the generation of the next following filmmakers, and the people next to you are going to be the big deals.
That's right.
That's who you need to sort of, for as much as you want to go work for George Lucas or, all these giant names that came 50 years ago, those people probably aren't going to hire you.
They have their crews already.
Their careers are over. Not that their careers are over because they don't, but they've had their careers and they've gotten, just like you right now, they were at a point where they were dealing with the only people they had.
Mm-hmm.
And now, they've had their careers, and the people around you now are the people that are going to come up with you.
That's right. So be nice to the PAs.
Be nice to the PAs, because one day they're going to be the people signing your paycheck.
That's right. So just to reiterate, there is no need for a resume or a college degree to be in the sound department. It's
tough. It's that cycle of, if I don't get hired, how am I going to get experience? If I have no experience, how am I going to get hired? Cycle. Right. You need to sort of like, and it is a sad sight when you go, I'm going to start my new resume and there's only like 2-3 lines and you're like, how do I fill a page? That is a very,
yeah.
It's not very encouraging, but you just have to stay with it. I remember, when I first started, I kind of clung on to the mixer that started calling me a lot. Right. But then he's, after a while, he started throwing my name out and I started calling people, and then I started meeting other mixers. Yeah.
It's the domino effect.
It's a huge domino effect, but yeah, like do the best you can with your very first resume when you're trying to get people to meet you.
Right.
Glenn,
do you have a question?
I have 2 more student questions.
Go for it. Then we'll wrap it up.
Eliana, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, sure. I was gonna ask, how has it been navigating the industry as another person?
Repeat the question if you can.
What's that?
Repeat the question if you can.
What it was like. I'm sorry. What is it like coming up in the industry as a person of color? There are stereotypes that you have to kind of just get over, which they're always going to be there. Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
I'm not saying you should accept them, but maybe
just prove them wrong.
Just prove them wrong. That's exactly what I would do. Mm-hmm. You don't ever want to go to work under those conditions where, that's how you're being judged, and you never have to.
Right.
But the best thing you can do is to show up and prove them wrong.
Yep. Who's next?
The last one is Artie.
I was gonna ask, what was your hardest wire you've ever had to do in a job? Whether it was just because of like wardrobe or anything like that, and how to overcome.
The hardest wardrobe I've ever had to do was when I was early on, because now it's more like today would be more of a judgment call, but I had to wire a lady in a bikini and she wasn't uncomfortable with me doing it other than putting the microphone element where it's supposed to go. Then I was like, here, just do that. You do that on your own. I'll take care of everything else.
Where does it supposed to go?
It's supposed to go on the sternum. Sorry, I did it again. Right. That's why I keep hitting it, because that's where the mic is supposed to go. This mic right here is placed correctly. FYI, everybody. But it's supposed to go somewhere here. The triangle is about this to here. That's the triangle where you want the mic to live. If you can always have the effort to put it there somewhere, you're doing okay. Some men have sort of like a divot at the end of their sternum, right where their rib cage ends. There's usually like a nice little cubby right there where the mic can live. Other times, higher is necessary. When I was just telling the story where I was wiring Shaq for Uncle Drew, and I looked for that, where I was here, but his chest is about 2 feet tall, because he's a giant human being. He goes, no, dude, you got to put it up higher. And it ended up being like up here, but that because he's done it for a long time, he knows that's where it goes and that's where he sounds best. So sometimes the rule can be broken, but the rule of thumb is that little triangle, for the bikini, we had to go underneath like this, and the microphone had to just kind of stick out. It wasn't great, but we got the dialogue, and then of course it was just clipped to the back somewhere that was off camera.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the microphone was there for every single setup and take,
That was good. That was
but when
great.
but we got it when it counted because it was on her coverage and it wasn't like on her back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was perfect.
So done and done.
Daryl has another question for you.
Absolutely.
So just going back to the reel, so what do you suggest for beginners to do to establish some kind of work?
Other than like maybe listing it on IMDb or having a link to a website that, like if you and your friends are making movies, which I highly recommend and you should definitely just be out there with your friends figuring it out on your own.
Right.
You know what I mean? If like you post a link, like if you got somebody to cut it and the video's done and you post it to YouTube, make sure that link gets around. That's your reel.
Yeah.
That's your reel. Plus, keep track of your IMDb credits and, don't ever let your resume fall behind. That would be, if we're going to talk about a reel, that would be the best I could tell you. Because you're not going to have your own website. Not a lot of people are going to be checking your social media. You know what I mean? Looking for you. You have to look for them to show them,
That's
if
right.
that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What about the students that get out feeling like, oh, I need to go and buy this recorder and I need to go buy this microphone because I'm a sound mixer?
That's a mistake. That's 100% mistake, because that's the thing. You really should not worry about the gear because it's always evolving. It's always changing. There's always going to be the newest and, the latest and greatest. Every year there's something new. The gear should be a secondary thought because it's all going to do the basic necessity.
And also,
and you're going to get to choose what gear you want, what gear you're going to use. And that's the kind of like the best thing. If you think you've gotten to a point where you need to buy gear, get on eBay. Don't buy anything brand spanking new.
right.
Because that's the thing. Like, there's going to be older gear that still works as the newer gear. Like,
Right.
it's the gear should be it shouldn't be the first thought whatsoever.
But why should a utility worry about buying gear anyway? Your goal is to work with the sound mixer that already has gear.
Well, you're eventually going to want to move up
That's true.
because you're going to get older and the knees aren't going to work as well and the shoulders aren't going to hold up as much,
But I feel like if you work with multiple sound mixers, you will know what to buy.
Well, you get to see here, and that's the insight that you're gonna appreciate later on, is that you're gonna get to see different configurations of different gear. And you're going to get, and that's kind of sort of like the fun thing, is that you get to design it on your own when it's your turn.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get to decide how you want to do it then, because you've seen it done a million different ways.
Right. What was good and what was bad.
And what was good, what was bad, A worked great, B was not that great, but maybe there was something that, you get to decide once you learn what's necessary.
I agree. But also, like, when you're just starting, if you're a broke college student or you're just graduating like I was like you. I need 7 months of work. I wasn't worrying about buying gear. I was worrying about stacking my my piggy bank.
100%.
So yeah. I think the concern should not be buying gear once you first graduate college. No. I mean, if you're doing student films, of course, you want to have a little field recorder, right?
There's definitely gear out there that I don't want to call subpar, but it's doesn't do as much as the big gear.
Exactly.
But it does the basic thing that you need, which is like record. It gives you a file that you can edit with,
right.
or whatever. There are definitely, companies out there that make gear that's less expensive. I still have my I had a Zoom F8. I still got it
Bro, you're gonna see
when it was
mine-
brand new. I
you're
still
gonna
got
see
the
mine
original.
over there.
I still got my. It was. I think it's 10 years old now. The F8, like the original F8. I still good. I used it on Madden because we had to mix different things for like everybody's earwigs.
Earwigs.
Yeah, I wasn't
Oh,
recording.
man.
I wasn't turning in files that I recorded, but I used it as a mixer.
Let's just briefly talk about earwigs real quick, and then we'll wrap it up because
Okay.
we had earwigs. Is like they probably don't even know what we're talking about.
Earwig is it's a piece of gear that goes. It's like a wireless earbud. It's so you can communicate to somebody without it being seen on camera.
Mm-hmm.
They were a pain in the ass. They're expensive. And they, in true honesty, they never sound all that great. Not for audio quality. They'll get you, where you can understand where it's, it's a clear,
Right.
but as far as like audio quality for you to listen to, they're not great.
Yeah.
But where they are necessary is when, like now the director wants to talk to, on Madden, the director wants to talk to the talent as they're performing. He wants to throw out lines to them.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way to do that is either for him to speak out loud
Mm-hmm.
across the set while they're trying to perform, or for him to speak into their ear, quietly. So
Right.
it's not picked up by the boom or anything like that.
That's a whole nother job in itself, which pays really well, by the way.
Yeah.
Playback operation.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that. But Jorge, I know I could talk to you for hours. I mean, we have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
And this is why I like the idea of sound people, sound department folks coming on a podcast and talking, because I don't think we get the shine that we deserve. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't go to movies to watch silent films.
No.
It's a whole sound department there, and we should really know what it's like to be in that world, and also know that it is a 6-figure business to get into. It's
Absolutely.
a beautiful business to be into.
You absolutely can make a living doing just this.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be that way in the beginning, but it's that, you stick with it. It's more rewarding than, not doing. Like, I don't know how to say it. There's a sense of accomplishment that you get when you come up with a plan, you execute it, and it just works.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
understand. Yep. So now it is June 2025. Is it June or July? June.
It's June, yeah.
And the state of the business is not as good as it was in 2010. George is not asking people to come.
Well, that's the thing. It's almost the same workload as it was in 2010. The problem was that when the COVID shutdown, the pandemic shut everything down, after it was opened back up, when it came back up, it came back with full force. So everything that got shut down started back up again.
Right.
All new projects that were already planned started back up again because they were delayed because, they didn't get off the ground, but, they were delayed. So, when everything was open back up, there was just this enormous influx of,
Right.
of
It was great.
of work, people, they didn't stop working. But then, the actors strike, the writer strike, the IATSE Teamster strike last year, that really showed that, that really slowed a bunch of work down, and they just went elsewhere where they didn't have to deal with it. And that's the ugly side of the industry. If you won't do it, I'll find somebody else who will.
How are you dealing with that right now?
Just not saying no to any jobs. Like, I'm not turning anything down. If I can, I'll definitely, I'll be there.
So do you think that the industry is going to turn around? And what's the hope that you're giving to these students that are listening in and want to learn how to do what you're doing? Also, right now is a great time for students to reach out to people. Like,
Yes.
nobody's working as much as they'd like to be.
Right.
So if there's something that you want to learn or someone that you want to impress, now is the time to reach out to these people.
Yes. For the most part, you can get a hold of some, not everybody, obviously, but you can get a hold of some people through social media. Just write them saying, yeah, I'm interested in becoming, a sound utility. If you ever need anybody, please, this is my contact information. Show that you are motivated to do this. Show that you are motivated to do this and do it well. Because nobody's just going to pull you off the street,
Right.
because you want them to.
Exactly.
You have to make the effort that, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to keep my mouth shut and do whatever it is that you tell me.
I just want us to give people real practical advice. I mean, I think for so long they've been telling us to just go read a book
Yeah.
and figure it out.
Always have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Like if you can't, if you can't make a living as a filmmaker yet, that doesn't mean you won't, but you obviously need to have a backup plan for that.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be,
Yeah.
it's going to be fielding a lot of calls,
Yeah.
making a ton more, and not hearing back.
Well, we're offering internships.
Yeah.
Good. I actually want to help people. I'm training them. I'm bringing people in like you to give them real practical advice instead of waiting on an event to come up every 3 months. Like, no, you can literally come talk to somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm excited. Thank you so much for coming on board.